It's the morning star drive 117.8. You soaring up with sky, now's the time, don't delay. I'm sitting in my ride and it's time to fly. So let's realign, just listen and feel your mind.
I'm burning with desire and the passion. Nobody can stop me when I'm like this. I got my head in the zone, you know. I'm on the morning star drive, you know.
Hey guys, how's it going? It's Tuesday, December 14th, and this is the Morning Star Drive on 117.8. We're on YouTube, so make sure to subscribe, follow us on SoundCloud, and make sure to support us on Patreon. So what is happening on this amazing Tuesday? We've got some coronavirus updates, current news from around the world, looking into the book of Matthew 24, and let's testify from Tuli in Australia. So, how are you guys doing today? And I'm not sure if you guys can notice this, but my voice is shot. Like, it is gone. And we had some people coming in from some other regions, and we went to go sing. So we went to a karaoke place, and I'm gonna be honest with you guys, it was like Backstreet Boys, In Sync, and like Boys to Men, and all these songs that we were singing like crazy. So my voice is really it feels really scratchy right now, but I had a really good time. I hope you guys have been enjoying your week too. I'm really thankful that you guys have joined us here on the Morning Star Drive. So what is it we want to do, guys? We want to keep building the community. Let's build the community, liking, commenting, comment on each other. Just tell us how things are going. Would love to hear how things are, all right? So I want to hear how you guys are doing, what you're doing, and you know, if you have any requests or anything else like that. So I got something interesting that happened to me on the weekend. So, playing sports all weekend, and there was, after one day of sports, like, we played so many sports. We were playing, like, ultimate frisbee, American football. It just, you know, it was really, it's not a hard thing, but it's just days and days of, 2 days of full sports. But that first day, it was crazy. There was, like, several of us, after that first day of sports, at night, we had night sweats. It wasn't just me. It was a bunch of people. We're just sweating, like waking up to sweat. And it was weird because there was a lot of us that got it. And one of our players, one of the people that were playing, he's studying to become a PT, like a physiotherapist. And he said, this is common. So he says that the moment, when you work out really hard, what happens is your immune system goes down. So if you work like really hard and you do a lot of sports, what happens is your immune system gets really weak. And then at night, your body works even harder to make sure you don't get sick. So it's kind of, it's a sign of one of your, it's a defense mechanism that you have night sweats because your body's working that hard for your immune system. So I was like, wow, that's really incredible how God has made our bodies. That, we're enjoying doing something, we did a little bit too much of it, and then all of a sudden at night, like 5 of us are like sweating at night, and it's a defense mechanism more than anything else, and your body is protecting you and putting all that energy into your immune system that, we were sweating. Like I was sweating. I woke up like 4 times, like, oh my gosh, but I was so exhausted. And it was really interesting to see, like, wow, what was this? And then someone else says, oh, I got that too. Someone else is like, oh, I got that too. And it's a defense mechanism more than anything else. So I was really shocked and surprised by that. So I was like, wow, God, thank you so much for protecting me during that night, because the last thing you want is to get sick, right? And here in California, for some reason, it's getting really cold. Now, of course, really cold is not as cold as some other regions. And other regions like Malaysia don't know what it means to be cold, but it's really cold over here for California standards. And like I have to start wearing jeans and stuff, and I don't like wearing jeans, but I have to wear jeans and pants, and I don't like it. But either way, that was something interesting that happened over the weekend. So I just had a really good time. I hope you guys had a good weekend too. Just tell me, leave in the comments what you guys have been doing over the weekend. Would love to hear it. Or anything that you've realized or understood from your experiences. That would be great to hear too. And on Thursday, we got a new talk, right, on the Espresso with Sky channel for, it's kind of a channel for newcomers. And the topic is what happens to people who died before Jesus came, right? So the concept is no one can go to heaven without Jesus, right? So the problem would be, what about the people that were born and died before Jesus came, okay? And it's a pretty interesting conundrum because, think about it, If no one can go to heaven before Jesus, like, then what if you died or lived before Jesus came? And then if some people will say, well, because they believed in the promise of the Lord's second coming, then they went to heaven, which would kind of negate the need for Jesus if people are already going to heaven without Jesus. You know what I mean? So it's an interesting topic. Something talked about a long time ago. It's from the Spiritual World Lesson, so I hope you guys will enjoy that. Send it to your newcomers. Send it to the people who are really interested in these types of things. And it's good for us, too, for us to understand the reason and logic behind these answers. All right? Last Sunday edition, we met Olivia Saratella from Los Angeles. Great interview, learning about her journey into this history. Super fun and insightful. Hope you guys really enjoyed it. Those of you guys have already been watching it, and make sure to check out the Sunday edition this week and leave a comment for Olivia too. Okay, so that means we're going to get this show started on the road. We're going to start off with our featured artist of the day on this awesome Tuesday, amazing Tuesday. We're going to start off with Juice-Star Aiden Verity from New Zealand. Those of you guys don't know, before Christmas, she's going to be releasing another song. So she is consistent, putting out song after song after song. I'm really, really thankful about this one here too. So you guys can really enjoy this. This song we're going to play is not her latest one, Never Too Much, but the one right before it, Hot Guy in the Corner. So definitely enjoy this one. She's talking about that feeling of seeing that hot guy in the corner, but it's talking about that feeling you get when you meet the Lord for the first time. So you guys will really enjoy that one. Next, we have the Rapture Collective from Australia with All My Thanks and Love. And then PGY from the Paper Music Associates in Korea with Dr. Rain. So let's end this month well. We're already on the 14th, right? We're like halfway through the month, everyone. Enjoy. End this month really well, this year really well, and put in a little prayer for all these member artists from around the world.
A little bit hard to see. I'm starting to believe you might be what I need. Even in shadow, you look so nice. Can't wait to see you step into the bright lights. You're kinda shy and so am I to do something, something. If I shake myself up, then I gotta say one thing. One thing to you, hot guy in the corner. I don't know your name. Hot guy in the corner. Isn't it such a shame? When you always say I'll be returning your way and say hey. Hot guy in the corner, see my face in your face. I could trip in these heels, eyes are spinning wheels. How can I keep my chill when you give me all the feels? Is that a halo? Is that a crown? Look at you, look at me, look you up and down. Take me out, I didn't wear all this for nothing. Nothing. Hold my hand up, I got a chance to do something. Do something with you. Hot guy in the corner. I don't know your name. Hot guy in the corner. Isn't it such a shame? When you were always there,
Yeah, welcome to God's new history. Daily preaching, the Bible no longer a mystery. Saving lives, taking action, what a wonderful destiny. Working tirelessly and we can become heavenly. All I ever wanted for you is to see we can become one with the Trinity. A condition was set by His highest. Confess and pray, create a new mindset. If you follow until the end, I promise you, you will surely realize God's divineness.
He's divine, y'all. Alpha and Omega, He's divine. Yeah. So let's reflect on the past. You gotta look deeply at the things God has done. Salvation at the highest has been granted. That's a blessing of blessings, the Lord's mandate. Spring water that heals faster than a band-aid. COVID safe cause His eyes was on us like a magnet. Got the seal on our foreheads, yet they can't do nothing. The devil and his gang have been disbanded.
So I raise my praise to you. So I lift my hands up high. Even in my weakness, even in my struggles, I'll always give my thanks and love. All my thanks and love.
Got so many bars that I never lose signal. Keeping it lit like a candlelight vigil. Lamp to my feet and a lighter to my palm. Lord's word is my perspective, the righteous collective. Filtering pollution, being mentally selective. Guarding the heart, it's a protective. Do it in a new way, in spirit and physicality. Do it in a new way, take it higher, raise a level. Giving God glory, God's love is the story. So rich in His love, feeling like a rich miser. Love is exploding like a geyser. Love so contagious, spread across the world like Pfizer. Antidote of the nation.
Reflect on the past. You gotta look deeply at the things God has done. Salvation at the highest has been granted. That's a blessing of blessings, the Lord's mandate. Spring water that heals faster than a band-aid. COVID safe cause His eyes was on us like a magnet. Got the seal on our foreheads, yet they can't do nothing. The devil and his gang have been disbanded.
So I raise my praise to you. So I lift my hands up high. Even in my weakness, even in my struggles, I'll always give my thanks and love. All my thanks and love.
Okay.
My name, I'm a 95 model, a defective robot. Oh, it's too
that was Dr. Rain from PGY from the Paper News Associates in Korea. Before that, Rapture Collective from Australia with All My Thanks and Love. And of course, the feature artist of the day, Juice-Star Aiden Verity from Australian's neighbor, New Zealand. That was Hot Guy in the Corner. So amazing job by all these member artists around the world. They've done such an amazing job. I'm so happy for it. And like I said, Juice-Star Aiden Verity with another song coming out before Christmas. So looking forward to that one too. All right, so let's get into something different here. We're going to get into the news. Well, it's not really different. This is something we do every single day. News. What is the news going on around the world? And of course, the reason why we do the news, number one, is to figure out what is the condition of the world right now. Number two, what is God doing in the world? And number three, what are the things that we can comfort God with? So we're going to begin with the coronavirus updates for today. In the world, 270.6 million cases with over 5.32 million deaths, and that's a 1.96% mortality rate. Now, top 5 countries, we're now going to base it on death rates more than the infection rates, because that's kind of the more important stat. And you'll see with the numbers are all over the place for infections, but you're going to see that the number of deaths is going to be actually the more important one. So, number one is Russia has 29,000 cases with 1,132 deaths. The Ukraine, 5,200 cases with 238 deaths. And you see there's a huge gap between 1 and 2. It's 1,100 and 238 is number 2. So there's a huge gap there. Mexico comes into the mix, 2,600 cases with 235 deaths. Vietnam, 14,000 cases with 228 deaths. And then India with 7,300 cases with only 202 deaths. So you see the U.S. is not even in this picture. In North America, where I'm at right now, we obviously have Mexico on top with 235 deaths. And then the U.S. is in second with 38,000 cases and 167 deaths. And then Canada is 3,400 cases with only 9 deaths. Okay, so let's take a look at the current news. Top 3 news going around the world. We're going to go back to the updates on the tornadoes, the 30-plus tornadoes that happened here in America in the Midwest. Kentucky, that state was hit the hardest, and the death toll is likely to pass 100 people. This is what the governor says over there. The death toll from the powerful tornadoes that devastated towns in Kentucky is likely to pass 100, and hope for finding survivors is waning. This was the most devastating tornado event in the state's history, with at least 80 confirmed deaths already. And basically nothing that was standing in the direct line of that one tornado is still standing. 14 deaths have been reported in 4 other states. And of course, President Biden has declared a major federal disaster in Kentucky and ordered federal aid to be made available to the hardest hit areas. Now, rescue workers scoured debris for survivors while teams distributed water and generators to residents. More than 300 members of the National Guard were going door to door and removing debris. However, no one has been found alive since Saturday morning. So, this tornado just wrecked places all along this 365-kilometer path. Thousands of people and had their homes destroyed through the exact, we're not sure the exact number yet. And previously, the longest tornado had traveled along the ground in the U.S. was around 300 kilometers. So this is like, 350 kilometers. So this is longer than that one. And that was in Missouri in March 1925, and that claimed almost 700 lives. So major events outside of the spring and summer months are extremely rare, and in it's just everything was flat. And you guys take a look at the pictures on the internet. It's really bad over there. 8 deaths are confirmed at a candle factory that was hit when 110 employees were believed to be inside. Also the number, but the good thing is, the numbers are far lower than previously feared, right? Meaning that, there was an original death toll by the governor. The death toll estimate was revised down, right? So we basically saw this one tornado hitting 6 different states and deaths happening in each of those states too. So prayers go out to the Midwest over here in America. And of course, for us who are living in America or those part of American Providence, it's a big thing to pray about, to understand how to pray for your own country too. Let's go to the second news, and this is going to be in Latin America over there in Mexico City, and it has to do with all of South America because there's a big clash outside Mexico City between police and migrants. A large group thousands of migrants from across Latin America has slowly been winding its way through Mexico, has clashed with police. So Sunday's clash happened as the group approached the capital city of Mexico City. Their plan was to reach the Basilica of Our Lady of Guadalupe, a Catholic pilgrimage site in the capital, but police blocked the migrants, saying they should first spend the night at a hostel set up for that purpose before continuing on their way. Thousands of people, many from Central America, but some from as far away as the African continent, have been crossing Mexico in an attempt to reach the United States to escape the poverty and violence of their homelands. Now, they often gather in groups thousands stronger. They often gather in groups of thousands to be strong for safety, right? So this particular caravan, these migrant caravans, walking along the Puebla, Mexico City highway when its way was barred by riot police, and at least a dozen police and a number of migrants were injured. Now, according to government officials, 550 police officers were deployed to escort the migrants on their way through the capital. The officers said they were attacked first by the migrants, who threw stones and grabbed their shields. The migrants say they felt threatened when they were corralled by hundreds of officers in riot gear. Now, tension between police and the migrants has been running high as Mexico is under pressure from the U.S. to stem the number of people crossing Mexican territory on their way north to the U.S. border. More than 190,000 migrants entered Mexico between January and September, according to official figures, and that figure is 3 times that recorded in 2020. I think in 2020 it was about 75,000, right? Oh, no, less than that, but 75,000 have been deported since then. So that's a lot. But think about that. 75,000 have been deported out of 190, which means that's like 125,000 that kind of made it through. So that's the second news. Third news around the world is in Italy. There was an explosion that happened, so 7 are dead as rescuers find bodies in Sicily blast. Italian rescuers pulled 4 bodies from collapsed buildings in Sicily on Monday after a suspected gas explosion. At least 7 people have now died after the blast destroyed 4 residential buildings on Saturday evening in the Sicilian town of Ravanusa. Firefighters say they are continuing to search the rubble for 2 people still said to be missing, and another 100 people have had to leave their homes because of the explosion. Now, authorities said 4 houses had collapsed and another 3 were damaged during the blast, which was heard as far as 4 miles away or 6 kilometers. Fire service spokesman Luca Carey said the rubble had to be removed piece by piece to prevent further collapses that might endanger both firefighters and anyone else still under the rubble. Around 100 people have been moved out of the area because of damage to their homes. An investigation into the cause of the blast is now underway, but authorities believe it could have been triggered by a gas leak. So there is Salvatore Cucina, head of Sicily's Civil Protection Agency, told ANSA news agency that the functioning of an elevator could have set off the explosion, and residents said there has been a strong smell of gas for several days, but the operator said it had not received reports of a leak and the network was fully inspected in 2020 and 2021. So that is a major explosion. 4 buildings collapse over there in Sicily, Italy. Prayers go out to them also too. So, it's good for us to see these news. And in the past, I was really, I didn't want to put too much negative news out there, or like the news I talked about on Monday about in Myanmar, the woman being detained and sexually abused and everything else. But after that Wednesday message, that was last Thursday, I mean. After that Wednesday message, it was, I kind of see the news in a different way now. That when I see the sad things, it's like, wow, this is something that God sees too. We can't just put a blind eye to it, but we need to pray about it. And we need to comfort God about these situations too. So I hope it's something that we can see in a different light also. Let's go into last but not least in the news. It is sporting news. And of course, a big day in the NFL, National Football League, as we have huge games because they're all divisional clashes, which are more important for these teams. First, it was the Cleveland Browns versus the Baltimore Ravens. Baltimore's number 1, Cleveland number 2, and Cleveland wins 24-22. Ravens still first in this division clash and 2 games ahead. Dallas also in the division clash with Washington, and these two are also number 1 and 2 in their division. Dallas defeats Washington 27-20, and now Washington is 3 games back. Kansas City Chiefs defeating the Las Vegas Raiders in just a pummeling 48-9. And in this division class, KC is now 9-4, first in the AFC West, and they're probably the best team to beat right now. Mahomes 2 passing TDs, which is his first TD in a month, right? So that's how bad it is going over there for KC. Seattle beats Houston 33-13. Seattle's now 5-8, still way out of playoff contention. San Francisco beats Cincinnati 26-23 in overtime, and they are still 3rd in the AFC West with the Chargers above them. Two big games. Green Bay defeats Chicago 45-30. Now they have 10 wins, and Aaron Rodgers 341 yards passing with 4 TDs. But the big news was Tampa Bay Buccaneers quarterback, 45-year-old Tom Brady. They defeat the Buffalo Bills 33-27. Okay? Now, Brady, what happened in this game? He passes Drew Brees, and now he has the most completions in NFL history. So there's another record broken. And also another one is he is the first player to ever reach 700 TD passes. And the craziest part is that 700 TD pass was like the game winner. Right? It was an overtime touchdown that won the game, so that was pretty incredible too. But congratulations to Tom Brady. So that is the top 3 news in sports, in world news, and of course the coronavirus updates. All right? So that means we're going to get into some praise and worship for today. And of course, we are getting into this Christmas mood and moment. So I am going to play some more Christmas songs, Providence Christmas songs. I hope you guys will really enjoy this. But we're going to first start off with one of my favorite songs right now is What Faith Has Given Me. And that's going to kind of get us going. And then we're going to go into Owner of Prophecy, which is a Christmas song. And then Winter Songs, which is also another Christmas song from Providence. Okay? So as one body of the Morning Star Drive, I hope that all of us here spend this time giving glory to the Holy Trinity.
확신을 더했네 믿음에 믿음을 더했네 하나님 섭리 역사 더 깨달을수록 확신에 확신을 더했네 확신에 확신을 더했네 완전한 신의 말씀 더 증거할수록 확신에 확신을 더했네 험한 산을 넘어올수록 절대 변하지 않네. 무슨 일이 있어도 어떤 일이 와도 절대 흔들림 없네. 믿음은 더 강해지네. 절대 변하지 않네.
이렇게 좋은 날에 주님과 함께 할 수 있음에 난 감사해요. 지금 이 시간처럼 영원히 함께 할 수 있음을 또 기도해요. 때론 힘들 때도 있었죠. 잠깐 아프기도 했었죠. 하지만 주와 함께였기에 난 이제 힘듦보다 더 빛나죠. 주님과 함께하는 이 기쁨, 성령과 함께하는 이 시간, 오늘만이 아닌 영원은 노래할 수 있다는 것, 그게 날 살게 하는 이유죠. 이곳에 존재케 한 힘이죠. 세상 모든 주위를 잠재운 영원한 사랑. Yeah, yeah. Oh, 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 oh. 세상엔 하얀 눈이 내리고 내 맘엔 따스함이 쌓이네. 주님과 함께하는 Season for Love. 지금껏 몰아치던 주위를 지금 이 순간부터 다 잊고 따뜻한 주와 나의 Season for Love. 지금도 주님이 내 맘에 들어와 나는 또 고백하죠. 감출 수 없는 내 맘을 눈처럼 녹지 않는 love, 그게 내가 사는 이유. 주님과 사랑 노래해, 오직 내 사랑은 바로 you. 온 세상 덮어버린 love, 축복으로 새하얀 view. 영원히 사랑 노래해, 오직 내 사랑은 바로 you. 순간만큼은 나 원해요. 그토록 기대하던 주와의 따뜻한 사연들의 Season for Love. 지금도 주님이 내 맘에 들어와 나는 또 고백하죠. 주님과 우리 사랑을 눈처럼 녹지 않는 love, 그게 내가 사는 이유. 주님과 사랑 노래해, 오직 내 사랑은 바로 you. 온 세상 덮어버린 love, 축복으로 새하얀 view. 영원히 사랑 노래해, 오직 내 사랑은 바로 you. 주님과 함께하는 시간에 소리쳐 박수쳐 이 리듬에 맞춰. 주님과 함께하는 시간에 소리쳐 박수쳐 이 리듬에 맞춰. 세상에 산타가 있다면 내겐 주님이겠죠. 내가 루돌프가 된다면 나라서라도 두께로 갈래.
Just a minute, wait a second.
나 이제 주님께로 가.
Wanna see you, gotta meet you.
이제 주님께로 달려간다. 주님과 함께하는 시간에 소리쳐 박수쳐 이 리듬에 맞춰. 운명의 사랑이 있다면 그것은 오직 주님뿐이야.
Just a minute, wait a second.
나 이제 주님께로 가.
Wanna see you, gotta meet you.
이제 주와 같이 날아간다. 주님과 함께하는 이 시간에 소리쳐 박수쳐 이 리듬에 맞춰 주님과 함께하는 이 시간에 소리쳐 박수쳐 이 리듬에 맞춰 주님과 함께하는 이 시간에 소리쳐 박수쳐 이 리듬에 맞춰 주님과 함께하는 이 시간에 소리쳐 박수쳐 이 리듬에 맞춰 주님과 함께하는 이 시간에 소리쳐 앞으로 다시 이 리듬에 맞춰 주님과 함께하는 이 시간에 소리쳐 앞으로 다시 주님과 함께하는 이 시간에 yeah!
And that was a fun song. That was Winter Songs. I hope you guys really enjoyed that. It gives a lot of good memories of our Christmases in Providence. Before that was Owner of Prophecy. That's a really famous one too. I remember we were doing a dance to that during Christmas time too in the Lord's Church, and that was really, really fun. And of course, that first song is What Faith Has Given Me, that powerful, like Holy Spirit movement-like song there too. So I hope you guys are slowly getting more and more into the Christmas mood. It is already the 14th. We've got about, just 10, 11 days, so less than 2 weeks. Hope you guys are really going to enjoy this. We're going to get into, what are we getting into now? Oh, word study for today. Now, word study is very interesting because I like this topic when we're going into the book of Matthew. Okay, now we're not going to go into the book of Matthew, just Matthew by itself, because we've done this a ton of times. But today, I want to talk about Matthew chapter 24 and a lot of the different things that Sunseam talks about this book, okay? So Matthew 24 and 25 are called the chapters about the Lord's second coming. All the prophecies come out of these two chapters, right? And if you look at verses 1 through 3, it kind of gives you the setup that Jesus is going to talk about the Lord's second coming, because in verse 3, it says, as Jesus was sitting on the Mount of Olives, the disciples came to him privately and said, tell us, when will this happen, and what will be the sign of your coming at the end of the age? And verse 4, Jesus says, and then from verse 4, Jesus begins to speak about all the different prophecies of the Lord's second coming. Because remember, think about this. This is the actual question from the disciples. When will this happen, and what will be the sign of your coming? Or obviously the second coming, because he's already there, right? So starting from number 4, we're going to take a look at a couple of these really, really big prophecies. And it starts with number 4 is, watch out that no one deceives you, for many will come in my name claiming I am the Messiah, and will deceive many. So one of the biggest prophecies, I'm going to tell you why this is one of the biggest ones, is because this prophecy comes up 3 times in chapter 24. Right? So it not only is in verse 4 and 5, verse 11 has it too, that says, and many false prophets will appear and deceive many people. So there it happens again, right? There's a second time, and then verse 24 says, for false messiahs and false prophets will appear and perform great signs and wonders to deceive, if possible, even the elect. So we have to think to ourselves, I always teach about this lesson really strongly about this one prophecy, because it is the biggest one. So Jesus repeats it 3 times as one of the signs of the Lord's second coming. Now, why is this such a big thing? It's such a big thing because, remember, it's not God who is sending people to deceive, it's Satan. Now, here's the thing. God wants to send the Messiah, and if the Messiah comes and there's only one of them, then it's very, very easy. Everyone follows and it's done. But of course, Satan's job is to deceive and make sure that no one follows the Messiah. But here's the thing. Satan has no idea exactly when. Only God knows when the Messiah is coming. However, because of the signs, everyone can get a loose idea of, the Messiah should come around this time. So Satan, in his craftiness, what does he do? When he sees these signs coming to fruition, he's going to start sending false messiahs. Now, why would he do that? Because if you send a bunch of false messiahs and then amongst the real one, no one will know. They'll all be confused which one is the right Messiah. However, this also becomes a sign itself, because the moment you start to see tons of messiahs coming, then you know the time is really near. So it's kind of like even though Satan's doing this as a very crafty thing, but on the flip side, it becomes one of the signs. So if you do see tons of false messiahs coming out, we'd be like, whoa, just the fact that there's tons of messiahs means that the time is really, really close. You know what I mean? So there's one of the big things that we look at and we say, oh, okay, so there's a really, really big sign. Okay? Then verse 6 says, "You will hear of wars and rumors of wars, but see to it that you are not alarmed. Such things must happen, but the end is still to come." So one of the signs before the Lord's second coming comes is wars and rumors of wars. And of course, we're living in this, like, in the last two centuries, we've had two world wars. Well, in the 1900s, there's 2 world wars, right? And that's all in preparation for the coming of the Messiah, year 2000, right? So we had World War I believe that's what, in the 1912 to 1915, something like that. And then, of course, in 1945, that was the end of World War II. And then, of course, at the end of World War II, we had Sun Tzu was born, all these other different things happening. So we see that these huge wars actually happen. Of course, all around the world, there's always wars happening. Rumors of wars are everywhere. North Korea and South Korea, Israel and Palestine, right? We see these wars constantly happening. And don't be alarmed, right? It says, don't be alarmed. Such things must happen, but the end is still to come. So we've only gone from verses 1 to 6, and we see that all this has come true already. Yeah, for the false messiahs coming, if you look on the internet and look up like antichrist or false messiahs, you're going to see a list of like 100 people. Like, we're seeing it already happening right now. Verse 7, "Nation will rise against nation and kingdom against kingdom. There will be famines and earthquakes in various places." And of course, excuse me, my voice is still shot from karaoke, but we're going to see that nation rise against nation, kingdom against kingdom, famines, earthquakes in various places. So yes, you'll be listening to it on the Morning Star Drive. All these famines that were happening during the pandemic, even before that, earthquakes, natural disasters have been happening ever since like 1990s and forward, right? It's been very, very intense. Well, especially, I think it was from like 1996 and on. But from there, you see a lot of these things. And verse 8 says, "All these are the beginning of birth pains," right? Now, birth pains meaning before you give birth to something very special, like a new child, a new life, there is pain that happens before it. And the same way, before the Messiah comes, there is going to be these painful signs that happen first, right? Verse 9, "Then you'll be handed over to be persecuted and put to death, and you'll be hated by all nations because of me." And when we look at this is a kind of a confusing prophecy or a sign, because it's like a lot of the world is Christian, and no one's getting killed because of Christianity, right? They're not. However, we have to look at it in a different way. When Jesus came, he was the new history. And of course, Israel or Judaism was the old history. So Jesus came as the new history. And what happened is when he came, everyone persecuted Jesus as the new history. So when you kind of compare it to here and the complete Testament time, it's talking about the Lord's second coming and the new history that's coming, and the old history will persecute the new history. Now, what does it mean to be put to death? Well, when Jesus talked about death in the New Testament time, there was a new definition. Of course, it still means death when you literally die physically in your physical body. But the second type of death is when you are persecuted or hated by people. And you could find that actually in 1 John chapter 3, verse 15. And that basically says that anyone who hates a brother or sister is a murderer. And you know that no murderer has eternal life residing in him. So even there, when you look at that verse, it's saying that the person who hates is literally a murderer in God's eyes. If you hate, you're a murderer because of the things you do to them. You probably bully them, say bad things about them, whatever it is. And then that's, they're basically putting someone to death through hatred. So we see that as time continues, we see that there's less like physical death. But, when you look at more advanced countries, you see that the types of death that they go through are more like mental deaths. And you see people like being bullied and committing suicide with, instead of the actual death itself. So we see that verse 9 is talking more about the new history compared to the old history. And then, of course, verse 10, "At that time, many will turn away from the faith and will betray and hate each other." And we're seeing that happening all the time in Providence too. "And many false prophets will appear." And we already did that one. Verse 12, "Because of the increase of wickedness, the love of most will grow cold. But the one who stands firm to the end will be saved." That's an amen, right? That's this week's message. Only at the end, right? The most important part is the end. You can evangelize 10,000 people, but if you lose your faith by the end, all of that is worth nothing. All those blessings are gone, right? So it says, because of the increase of wickedness, the love of most will grow cold. And one way some explain this is, as times get more and more wicked, we get used to it. And one example I like to use is back in my days when I was watching TV, like you could not see sexual scenes. It was basically all something that you had. It was more what do you call it? Like it was intuitive. Like you'd see two people kiss, and then they go into the bedroom, the door closes, and then the sun rises, and they come out of the bedroom. And you're like, and in your head, you'd be like, ooh, look what they did last night. And it was all inside your head. But nowadays, like you can see like a nipple on like the screen on TV, like what the heck kind of thing, right? Even back in my days, there was no cursing on TV. Not even the word bitch was on TV. It wasn't. That's how crazy it is now. And after like 30 years, it has completely changed, right? So what's my point is, after, I remember when the first time on TV the word bitch came out, huge protests in front of the TV stations. But now, after that word has been said multiple times, we get used to it, and then we're more worried about the F word coming out instead. But now we're already used to the B word, but now the F word is like, oh no, they can't say this. And then when it comes out, we're like, wow. But now, we kind of get desensitized to it. And that's kind of the increase in wickedness will make love grow cold, right? So what the world shows us that is right is sometimes wrong in God's eyes, but because we get used to it and we think it's a normal thing, then all of a sudden our love becomes colder, because having less love or these things that are normal to the world are like enemies to God, but yet we get used to it and we think that it's okay now, right? And that's verse 12 and 13. And that's why we have to stand firm until the end. And that's why this week's message is so encouraging. Is like, that is the big thing. Faith is the number one thing, right? Keeping your faith. And I hope that that's something that we'll all keep in our hearts and our minds, is that is the number one thing that matters more than anything else. And then verse 14, this gospel of the kingdom will be preached in the whole world as a testimony to all nations, and then the end will come. I'm going to tell you right now, this is a huge thing, because they've talked about the gospel has reached every single country so far, right? However, has it reached every single person? No, but I know this one church here in Los Angeles, right? It's called Saddleback Church with Rick Warren, very, very famous pastor, and he wrote the book, what book did he write? Purpose Driven Life, right? And just his church alone, in 1 year, sent out like 14,000 people to every single country in the world. And that's just one church, right? So, and the missions and the evangelistic efforts going around the world, it's huge. So we see that at least every single country has been touched by the gospel already, right? And then it says after that, the end will come. Like we're already reaching, now that we have internet and everything else, it's reaching to the far parts, and people are going undercover as like English teachers and whatever it is to preach the gospel in countries like North Korea and like China and stuff like that too. So we know that the countries are being touched, every single country. And then, of course, verse 15 is what we know, is when you see standing in the holy place the abomination that caused desolation. And, of course, we know that from the Time Times, Half Times lecture, that's the Dome of the Rock. So we've just gone through 15 verses and probably like 8 to 9 different prophecies, and they're all done already. They're all done, right? And then verses 16 all the way down to verse 28, right? That is all like what the feeling of that time is going to be. Like, what does that mean? The feeling of that time? It's like, let no one on the housetop go down to take anything out of the house. Let no one in the field go back to get their cloak, right? So that's kind of the feeling of what it's going to be like at the Lord's second coming. Verse 19, controversial one, how dreadful it will be in those days for pregnant women and nursing mothers. It's kind of a sad thing. You know what I mean? It's like, what? How sad it is that if you're pregnant or you're a nursing mother at that time when the Lord's second coming comes, it's dreadful for you. But we all know that it's talking about people who have their own churches, people who have invested so much into these lives, right? So the pregnant woman has invested so much into this life, it's so hard to just get rid of it, right? But in the same way, they're talking about like pastors pastors who have invested so much into their title and becoming a pastor, being respected, and then they have to let everything go and start from the beginning again, right? And that's what it means for pregnant women and nursing mothers. So that is a powerful statement right there. Now, that goes all the way down to verse 28, and of course, verse 29. Verse 29 is talking about the sun, moon, and stars, and we know that lecture that's in the parables lecture. And verse 30 is about the Lord coming on the clouds. So we see all these things. We're like, oh, this makes sense, and we've already seen all these things happen. Verse 31, and he will send his angels with a loud trumpet call, which is the words of God, obviously, because in the parables lecture, the word symbolizes the word is tools, equipment, and weapons and musical instruments, and the trumpet is a musical instrument. And then verse 32, now learn this lesson from the fig tree. As soon as its twigs get tender and its leaves come out, you know that summer is near, which is talking about Israel, because Israel is a fig tree, symbolized by a fig tree or an olive tree, because those are the two predominant trees in Israel. So whenever the Bible talks about a fig tree or an olive tree, it always symbolizes Israel, which means that as soon as twigs get tender and its leaves come out, you know that summer is near, or the time of the Lord's second coming is coming. And we see that even in Israel, there's something you call Jews for Jesus, and people starting to come to Jesus from the Jewish people also. So it says, even so, when you see all these things, you know that it is near, right at the door. So truly I tell you, this generation will certainly not pass until all these things have happened, right? Heaven and earth will pass, but my words will never pass. And that's just verses 1 through 35. And we still have up to verse 51. But I went over like tons of different prophecies. Hope it kind of opens your eyes to these prophecies have already come true. And that's why this time is here. The Bible, what the Bible says is done. Right? And that's why the time has already come. That's why Sunseem said people who are immature are those who say it's still the New Testament. All right? So that is the word study with the book of Matthew chapter 24. Hope it really helps you guys out to understand a little bit more about the time. As Sunseem said, the most important thing to teach about is time. All right? So that is the word study for today on Matthew chapter 24. Hope you guys really, really enjoyed that. Okay? So let's get into the song of choice for today. Today's song of choice, every Tuesday I play songs from Korean singers. And there's a singer that's so good. Her name is Ailey. You guys know her? I forget what group she's from. She's originally from a girl group. I forget what group it was. But her name is Ailey, and she is, I believe she's a second generation Korean. Like she was from America and then came back over to Korea. But this song is called, it's in English, it's called My Grown-Up Christmas List, right? So another Christmas song to get us into the mood. This is Ailey from Korea with My Grown-Up Christmas List.
I wrote to you with childhood fantasy.
And there it is. What a great Christmas song. That is A-Lee from Korea, and that song is My Grown-Up Christmas List. So super happy that Christmas is coming around the corner. I'm hoping to get my mind and my heart ready to give glory to the Holy Trinity for sending the Messiah, Jesus Christ. And it is a very big celebration that, even Sunseam too. Sunseam believes, loves Jesus more than anyone else, and this is why he was able to receive the mission he has. So I think all of us here too have to realize everything comes from a basic foundation, and the foundation comes from the Messiah. And who's the Messiah? Well, the Messiah that came 2,000 years ago was Jesus, and we're going to celebrate that birth together. Okay? So that was a song of choice for today. Hope you guys really enjoyed that, which means we're going to get into our last section for today. And of course, it is Tuesday. And every single Tuesday, we're going to have this special segment from Tuli Ashton over there in Australia. Hope you guys enjoy this. Today, we're going to talk about someone who overcame national persecution in Australia. Hope you guys really enjoy this. Please welcome Tuli with Let's Testify.
G'day everyone, this is Tuli from Australia with the 13th episode of Let's Testify, and today I'm doing something a little bit different. In order to give us a bit more inspiration about how to testify about Sonseingnim and Providence, even when we go through persecution, how can we explain really clearly? I'd like to actually interview a friend of mine in Providence, and her name is Camilla. So welcome today, Camilla. Lovely to have you here. Could you tell us a little bit about what you went through recently with national scale persecution?
Yeah, sure. So I guess recently, or maybe like three and a half years ago, I was in Japan, and I hadn't really had that much contact with my family for a while, just because I guess kind of like doing Providence things made me find it hard to talk to my parents about what I was doing, and also my parents weren't very easy to talk to either, so I think it was kind of a little bit me and a little bit them. And I had been really trying hard, but I didn't really know what to do. And then suddenly my dad sent me an email telling me that he was going to go on national TV to talk to people about my church. And I emailed him and I asked him what he was trying to achieve, but he didn't message me back. And I asked if he was going to use my name, and he didn't email me back. So one of the girls in Australia and I called the TV station just to see if he really was going to make some kind of program. And they were pretty scathing and really unimpressed that we were calling, and they were like, well, why would we make a TV program about you? Like, who are you? And they said that there was no program about us or about me. And then I talked to one of the pastors about whether I should go back to Australia and try to stop things from happening. But because the TV show had told us that there was no program about me, I was like, okay, well, I'm going back in December anyway, so I may as well just go back in December and not worry about it. And a little bit before I went back, someone messaged me from Australia and said, hey, I just saw an ad on TV, and you're in it, and it's, your dad talking about losing his daughter to Providence. And I was pretty shocked, but I tried to call the TV station with my friend from before, and I asked them if they would not broadcast the program, and they said, oh no, it's too late now, but you can appear on the program. But I just thought, I know that they often twist the stories and the reporters make people look really crazy, and the only thing I could really talk about was the reasons why my dad and I had a bad relationship in the first place. And I was like, I don't really want to go on national TV and defend myself and attack my dad. It just seemed really counterproductive because, like, obviously I wanted to salvage that relationship. So we didn't go ahead with it, and I came back to Australia maybe a week later, and I was pretty nervous because I was like, okay, I've just been on national TV and they've showed my photo, they've showed my face, and I arrived at the airport. I hadn't been in Australia for quite a while. Nobody recognized me at all. And then I got back to Sydney, and one of my friends from high school had messaged me, and I have a close group of high school friends. There's about 5 or 6 of us, and she said, I'm like the representative, we saw the TV program, and I'm just wanting to know if you're happy to meet me, and I want to talk to you. And of course they were really worried about, me having been brainwashed and maybe like something, untoward happening in Providence. But I just reassured them, like, Providence, there's no sexual misconduct or anything like that happens in Providence. And I testified about that, talking about the article where the women in Providence who'd left Providence falsified evidence of being raped, and I talked about other articles that just sort of talked about how Sansanim had been framed. And I talked about all the good things that I'd learned in Providence, about Sansanim teaches us to love God, to really live clean lives, to really respect our bodies and ourselves, and to really like develop ourselves in lots of different ways, and to really try to become the best human beings that we could be. And I talked about the Weeds and their lack of involvement in Providence Church, and how they left because they had a crush on someone or for other different reasons. And in the end, my friend was like, oh, it sounds like Providence is really good. And I can't believe your dad, was on national TV and said all those things about you. So I was really surprised. Wow, like my friend was on my side after we met up. And then that kind of thing just happened quite a few times. Like I had to speak to my neighbour. I had to speak to one of my housemates from when I was at university. One of my friends put up an article, a newspaper article that I'd appeared in, because after the broadcast, maybe 12 kind of copycat articles appeared in different newspapers around the world. Just wiped off my photos from Facebook. And they just put it in the newspapers without contacting me for comment or without asking if they could use any of the photos or anything. So I was pretty shocked, like, to see what the media was like. And I talked to my friend, I talked to my family. Similar, like actually the same story with everybody that talked to me. It was really awkward at first because I was like, oh my gosh, for so many years I've hidden that I'm in Providence, and for so many years I've really tried not to talk about anything, and all of a sudden I had to have that conversation with so many people. But everyone that I spoke to ended up being on my side and asking me great questions about Providence and about religion. I guess, a lot of people expected that I would leave after the persecution, but I was like, well, where would I go? There's no word anywhere else. There's nowhere else that can make you this close to God. And I felt like, the only person who could solve all these problems was God. I was Sansanim. So I guess just that faith, just knowing that there was really nothing else but God, and Providence is where God is, just made me decide, well, there was no question about leaving. So I felt like if I know that you can only resolve those kind of things through prayer and talking to God, and actually, through that I saw many miracles happen with my family. I did a master's afterwards, and I felt like God really took care of so many of the problems that I had before persecution, and just really blessed me a lot afterwards. So I guess seeing that God was there and something gave me strength through the message. I guess there was no question but that I was going to get through it. And it's been I feel like so many times I've given thanks to God, because he gave me so many blessings and did so many things that could only have happened through this persecution.
It's just amazing. Thank you so much for sharing this story. I'm sure that a lot of people around the world in Providence will think deeply after listening to your story and be encouraged that people can go through these big national persecutions and come out the other end praying and giving thanks and having a better life of faith afterwards. Actually, it's amazing. Thanks so much again, and maybe we can talk with you again another time.
Sure.
Thanks so much. Have a great day, everyone. All right. Cheers, everybody, and peace.
Bye.
What a great episode. Super happy and thankful. Thank you so much, Tuli, Achin, and Camilla. Camilla is someone that I actually ran with together when we were pioneering a church over there in Canberra, the capital city over there in Australia. So happy to see her, and her testimony, amazing. Hope you guys are really inspired by that too, as I am. That was great. That was awesome. Hoping to hear even more things happening and new interviews. Thank you so much, Tuli, for putting even more effort into this segment. All right, everyone, have a wonderful, amazing, and awesome day, and we'll see you guys again tomorrow on the Morning Star Drive on 117.8.
It's the Morning Star Drive 117.8. You soaring up with sky, now's the time, don't delay. I'm sitting in my ride and it's time to fly. So let's realign, just listen and fill your mind.
I'm burning with desire and the passion. Nobody can stop me when I'm like this. I got my